It's time for Kit Kat 1, 2, 3. Kit Kat 1, 2, 3. Kit Kat 1, 2, 3. Yay!
They said we were crazy to spring them from the pound, crazy to give them their own show, crazy to let them loose on Nick without a leash. Well, we are crazy for Ren and Stimpy, and there's no limit to how far Nick will go to bring you more. From the depths of Stimpy's stomach to the far reaches of the interstellar deep, where Ren and Stimpy go, we will follow. So strap on your straitjackets and watch Ren and Stimpy, a great way to lose your mind, every Sunday at 11:10 Central on Nick.
Here we go with the one that's uncomfortable to talk about. The Ren and Stimpy Show is the third Nicktoon, and the last to premiere with Doug and Rugrats on August 11th, 1991. It was created by noted pedophile and control freak Michael John Crickfalusi, hereby known forth as John K., and originally produced by his company Spumco. It ran for 5 seasons and 52 one unaired episodes from August 11th, 1991 to December 20th, 1995 on Nickelodeon, with his last episode airing on MTV on October 20th, 1996. Ren and Stimpy was the original breakout hit of the first 3 Nicktoons, even ahead of soon-to-be media sensation Rugrats. In a media release issued around the same time all 3 shows started airing, they were compared to a 3-course meal, Doug being vegetables or some shit like that, Rugrats being the entree, and Ren and Stimpy being the dessert, the one that all the kids wanted to get to first. Nowadays, the only thing that people really bring up about the show is its troubled production history. So what really happened there? Before that, let's talk about the premise of Ren and Stimpy, or whatever little there is. The Ren and Stimpy Show follows Ren, a violently angry asthma hound chihuahua, and his best friend slash roommate slash lover slash punching bag Stimpy, a sweet but dumb as hell cat. They basically just do whatever, including going to space, becoming firefighters, getting eaten by a giant worm after getting buried alive, hanging themselves, getting adopted by proud Americans, and dying and going to hell. They can be put in pretty much any situation, and you have to just watch it play out. Now let's get into the juicy stuff, the behind-the-scenes drama. Basically, the creator, John K., was a crazy-level perfectionist who wanted to control every single aspect of the show, from animation, writing, but don't say it's writing because that's considered a writer's cartoon and that's bad, storyboarding, to his insane levels of perfection. For the most part, the episodes made under him look incredibly good for its time, but they were made under like the worst circumstances you can have for like a television animation job. So the most standout episodes in his style are Stimpy's Invention, Sven Hoek, which he hated, by the way, Stimpy's Fan Club, and Man's Best Friend, which was the episode that he thought got him fired from the network due to the level of violence in it. Most of his episodes also went over production time, the longest being Stimpy's Invention that took over a year to make and was over budget. The level of violence in Man's Best Friend was also a bit too extreme for Nickelodeon at the time, and they eventually decided to ban it, along another episode, Dog Show. Dog Show eventually did air later on in season 2, whereas Man's Best Friend remains the only Nicktoon episode to never air on Nickelodeon or Nicktoons or even MTV. Due to scrapping an entire half hour of shows due to content, this got Nickelodeon a little pissed and decided to give John K. an ultimatum. Either deliver the episodes on time, on budget, within violence levels appropriate for children basically, or you're fired. He sent them a letter back through his lawyer saying, pretty much quoting verbatim, the episodes will take as long as it takes to make them, and they will cost whatever it costs to make them. So he got fired, of course. After this, the show is produced by Games Animation, Nickelodeon's new in-house animation studio. This caused a ton of controversy amongst nerds at the time, with most of John K.'s production buddies, or fellow child predators, known as Spumco, leaving when he was fired. A few of the original crew stuck around for seasons 3 through 5. Some included Bob Camp and Chris Riccardi, but most of the originals had left with him. So essentially, the show is split down the middle with Spumco episodes and game episodes, even though there are way more games episodes because John K. got himself fired after like 20 episodes of the show. Isn't that lame, man? Okay. But pretty much everyone prefers the former. However, I'm not everyone. Let's hear my thoughts instead. Ren and Stimpy is definitely my second favorite out of the original 3 Nicktoons, losing to Rugrats. From the original 2 seasons at least, I was honestly pretty impressed by how many weird, funny gags that were in them. The animation quality, besides the first couple episodes or so, is pretty much unmatched by other shows at the time. Sorry, Rugrats. And I don't really mind the gross out moments in them because I know it's like a pioneer in the gross genre, but, it's fine by me because I know that, it's something different at least. I'm not a fan of gross out humor, and this is a show that popularized the whole genre, but, there's also plenty of weird, random, and slapstick humor that I like, and not just the gross out, at least in the beginning. There's a lot of other weirder things in the beginning. However, my favorite genre of Ren and Stimpy episodes are the psychodrama episodes that also got John K. fired, that really turned up in the second season only, which is a shame. I really like character studies in television, and some of the episodes focusing on Ren, such as Stimpy's fan club or Ren Needs Help, are genuinely very disturbing pieces into his mind, which I really appreciate in an ostensibly kids show. I always liked the weird dark stuff growing up, and I think I would have liked these even as a kid, but I never watched it as a kid, thank God. As the show progressed, unfortunately most of the episodes that I liked from the earlier seasons are pretty much gone, replaced with pure gross out episodes and episodes that feel like they have no internal logic to them. Even though throughout the series, Ren and Stimpy can be plopped into pretty much any situation, such as being in the army, and in the army, obviously, or being rubber nipple salesmen or whatever. They have an internal logic to the episode. By the end of the series, it's pretty much just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what stuck. And it's a shame. I love being a contrarian. I would have loved to love the game episodes. But by the 4th season, you can see them running out of steam. And I get why. If I had to work with John K. and had to deal with his bullshit working under him, then him getting fired, then him having faxing death threats to me at the office, I wouldn't really want to work on his show either. And also, shout out to Billy West again. I'll give him his dues later, but he was pushed to the fucking brink by John K. constantly during his run of the show, and he put in a great performance every time. I am sure he loved working on Doug more. It was a way easier on the throat just listening to both of them. Seriously, compare anytime Doug yelled on his show to anytime Stimpy screams on this show, and you'll see the difference. It's crazy. The changes they did make to the show didn't really help either, with the weird Hell Dad characters being replaced with giant old men and Scotsmen and other characters. They just make you wonder, why is this guy in the episode, and why is he hogging up all of Ren and Stimpy's screen time instead of being able to enjoy the episode? Ren and Stimpy is a very complicated cartoon to talk about, especially with the giant controversies following it and its legacy. Some of the earlier episodes also have a few glaring details that are impossible to ignore. The focus on doe-eyed teenage girls gets really creepy once you remember John K. is a pedophile and dated underage girls. And there are quite a few teenage girls that were leered after in the series, the main one being the lovely assistant and powdered toast man. The Mr. Horse scene in Rubber Nipple Salesman, where he's almost definitely molesting a walrus, also hasn't aged the best in hindsight, obviously. The other massive glaring detail are all the Hell Dads in the first 2 seasons. George Licker, American, the firefighter guy, Anthony's dad, all abusive, yelling, middle-aged men. All of them are obviously placeholders for John K.'s dad, and they're pretty much always uncomfortable to watch. Hell, in one of his blogs reviewing the episode Visit to Anthony, he discards the character of Anthony's dad entirely and just calls the character My Dad all the way through. Yikes! It is very uncomfortable to watch a middle-aged man shove his little girl fetish and his daddy issues into the funny cartoon I'm trying to watch. Stop trauma dumping, man. Listen about that. Especially because this show was made for kids, at least originally. I also hate his little fake pathos, theory thing. And I think Son of Stimpy is one of the most cynical things I've ever seen in my life. It's terrible. Yes, people can actually put emotions into their work besides hatred and lust, John. So they don't have any other emotions. Fuck you. Overall, Ren and Stimpy is a very, very mixed bag. Take one episode in particular. I'll do Powdered Toast Man since I mentioned it before. It goes from funny to uncomfortable to gross to funny to gross to uncomfortable to funny, and finally ends on uncomfortable. It is a roller coaster watching pretty much any Ren and Stimpy episode nowadays, and I don't particularly like that. When it's just trying to be straight funny, like in Fire Dogs or Space Madness, it's honestly great. I say those 2 episodes and Stimpy's Invention are the best episodes of all 3 of the original Nicktoons first seasons, along with Tommy's First Birthday and Rugrats. When it's supposed to be scary and disturbing, it really succeeds, especially in episodes like Stimpy's Fan Club and Hermit Wren. Probably my favorite episode from the games era is Hermit Wren. However, most of the gross ones in the games era are too gross to be funny, and there's a ton of them, so that's like 50% of the show alone I don't like, without all the weird pedophilia and daddy issues. If you can get past that, and you like the gross out shit, congrats, you have your new favorite show. But personally, I couldn't give this show anything more than like a B-. When it's good, like in Stimpy's Invention or In the Army, it's really good. When it's bad, like Lara the Lummox or Galoot Wranglers, it sucks. They suck way harder than the worst episodes of Rugrats or the worst of Doug, the one. It just really depends on the episode, so I end up with only like 20 episodes that I actually like. Also, this is just an aside, but I do not really like some of the stock music choices in the show. I can tell whenever they're from the Nutcracker, and because I was in it so many times as a kid, it kind of pisses me off whenever I hear music from it, but that's obviously a personal thing. I really like the stock music choices from the 2nd season and onwards, like the weird droning guitar noises playing whenever something gets dramatic, i.e. in Black Hole or Sven Hoek. They're really creepy and I like them a lot. The intro and outro music are also fucking great, and I think the closing theme is the best Nicktoon closing thing in general, maybe only second to SpongeBob, but it's really good. Billy West was an absolute fucking beast in the show. Even before John K. got fired, he was still voicing multiple characters an episode, i.e. Stimpy and Mr. Pipe and Rubber Nipple Salesman, like in Doug, and was still great at holding conversations with himself. Him screaming and laughing crazily in the show is also fucking nuts, and sounds absolutely fucking insane, so good job. After John K. was fired and he was voicing both Ren and Stimpy, his voice work got even better, with entire episodes, not segments, episodes in their entirety, being voiced only by him. I know that he had a ton of unsavory memories working on the show, but he was genuinely amazing in it, and all of the greatest episodes would not have worked without him. Obviously, I think John K. is a shithead, but honestly, even with his many faults, he was honestly a pretty good voice actor for Ren, with him having surprisingly chilling performances in Stimpy's Fan Club and Sven Hoek. And even though Billy West is the GOAT on the show, I've always preferred John K.'s voice as Ren. And this is the only compliment I'm going to give him throughout the entire review, so you better eat it up right now because he's still a shithead. And then it was also nice to hear Cheryl Chase playing actual adult women in the show after hearing her play a toddler for 9 straight seasons and 5 fucking movies of Rugrats. Thank God, I love to hear her talking in a normal voice because it was like audio torture on Rugrats. And then the best writer and director for the show, or the best artist or whatever, is Bob Camp, who helped develop the show as a whole, stayed on after John K. was fired, and took most of the original staff with him to deal with all his bullshit and his death threats. And he still managed to co-write episodes like In the Army, Out West, Ren's Toothache, and Stimpy's Invention at Spumco, and A Yard Too Far, Hermit Wren, and Doubleheader with Games. He actually had a hand in writing almost every episode of the series, so good on him. He deserves some love. Now let's talk about the best episodes by season. Season 1, Stimpy's Invention, obviously. Probably one of the best episodes of television animation ever made. At least one of the most influential. This episode took more than a year to make, and it's even only 6 episodes because John K. wanted to get it as perfect as possible, including spending months choosing and re-choosing colors for a random gift box using like 3 scenes. The animation is incredibly fluid for the time, coming right after the chronically stiff toy-based cartoons of the 80s. Nothing wrong with them, but look rather bad nowadays, sorry. This must have looked fucking insane to animation enthusiasts in the 90s, which is why it had such a great reputation then. It's also pretty decently funny, and it has the forever iconic Happy Happy Joy Joy song at the end with Ren bashing his head in time to the tune of the music. I do agree with Ren at the end of the episode. I also love being angry. He's my favorite character. Season 2, Stimpy's Fan Club. This is my favorite episode of the series. Ren is obviously my favorite out of the duo, and he really gets to shine in this episode. Even though the two halves of the episode have very different tones, more comedic and lighthearted to something more disturbing and scary and back, it doesn't really feel unfocused like many other episodes do. I especially love Ren's monologue towards the end of the episode where he contemplates murdering Stimpy out of jealousy. The entire thing reminds me of this meme. The end of the episode, when Stimpy reveals he gave Ren his only fan letter, is also genuinely sweet. It's probably one of the best moments of the show, is that fake pathos too. Number 3, and Abe Divided. Honestly, I like this one just because it's funny. I enjoy a solid, funny cartoon from time to time. I know that makes me a freak. It's hard to compliment straight funny cartoons because you want to over-explain the gags in it, but I won't. I'll just show some pictures instead. Gatekeep it. Season 4, Hermit Wren. One of the most disturbing of the series and one of the most atmospheric. It is very dialogue light, so it's very interesting for Ren and Stimpy cartoon. I like the feeling of isolation it gives me. And the ending, when Ren and Stimpy finally reunite after like 20 years, whatever, is pretty cute too. And then the last season, season 5, is Reverend Jack. This episode is one last dig at John K. after his firing, and I really enjoy seeing it, especially after reading the backstory of the episode in the unauthorized, in quotes, Ren and Stimpy, biography, Sick Little Monkeys. It's funny, it's hateful, and it was one of the only Ren and Stimpy episodes directed by Craig Bartlett, right after leaving Rugrats and right before Harold started, so I think that's pretty neat as well. It would have made a pretty good last episode, but it wasn't, so. Some of my other favorite episodes are Space Madness from Season 1, Fire Dogs, also from Season 1, Powdered Toast Man vs. Waffle Woman from Season 4, Stimpy's Cartoon Show from Season 3, and In the Army from Season 2. And now here's my least favorite episode, Galoot Wranglers. Like the Rugrats episode I called the worst before, this one just annoys the piss out of me. It's not funny, not clever, and it's just weird and gross. I also hate all the weird, hulking, stupid men they're putting in at the end of the show. It might have been funny in Fake Dad, and even then it's not one of my favorite episodes. It's good, but it's not one of my favorites. But after the 7th Kowalski, I'm just sick of the writers who apparently think Lenny from A Mice and Men that copy-pasted a bunch of times made for great characters. No, they're just really annoying and unfunny. There are a ton of episodes like this at the end of the show, but this is just the one that ticked me off on the day I watched it. Sorry. Some of my other least favorites are Feud for Sale from Season 5, Son of Stimpy from Season 2, Hard Time for Haggis in Season 3, Lair the Lummox also from Season 3, and Marooned from Season 1. Overall, Ren and Stimpy is a show full of ups and downs, very high highs and very low lows. I wish that it could have been more consistent, but I understand why it wasn't, and definitely why John K. had to go. I just wish the people that stuck with the series cared about the established characters more, I guess. Most of the good episodes written for Season 3 were already written by the Spumco people before they left, so I think games just needed more time to find their own groove, which they pretty much did by the end of the show. Episodes like Ren Needs Help and Dog Tags, and the previously mentioned Reverend Jack are some pretty damn good episodes. The quality was never consistent, though, even in the Spumco episodes, so I could just rewatch the same episodes over and over, but it's not really worth it to watch the full series. Just pick the ones you think you like and go from there. I'm also not going to talk about Adult Party Cartoon or the canceled reboot thing here. I'm saving them for a different video, which I'll get to eventually. And now let's get to that wacky, wild take-based Nicktoon, Rocco's Modern Life. Coming next week, baby. See you later.
Who's responsible for this?
I picked them myself.
Nick's gonna tell who draws Ren and Stimpy.
It's about 50 artists that put it all together.
They draw faces.
This is Ren normal, and this is Ren screaming.
Paint backgrounds.
I paint backgrounds.
Draw practically anything.
I get to do vomit.
Now you know who's responsible for Ren and Stimpy.
You don't understand.
People can relate to him. They see a lot of themselves in him.
I can't draw.
On the only network for you.